Good morning, guys. Yes, it is still morning. It's 11 o'clock in the morning for me. Hope you guys are having a good morning yourselves. I'm not doing too bad. You know, it's morning. What else can I say except that it's morning? And I didn't sleep last night, so yeah, I was like, you know what? Let's do this. Normally on GamerCast, I will have Solitaire join me, Omni Toast. And, you know, maybe other people as well, but seeing as how it's the morning, I didn't want to wake them up. So Omnito streamed till late last night, I believe. I don't know what time he stopped streaming, so I'm not gonna wake his ass up to join me on this stream. And Mike is over in PAX Australia, so obviously I'm not gonna have him on here because he's in Australia. I'm fast as... Okay, Ged, how you doing, dude? Thank you for joining, appreciate it. So yeah, you know, I'm not gonna have Mike jump on here if he's freaking in Australia. So yeah, it's just me today. Like I said, normally we will have more people, but just me. Let me go ahead and wake everybody up. That, you know, let them know that everybody in Discord that I'm live. Alright, so today's topic, we only have one topic today. It's the whole Blizzard issue, the Blizzard China issue that's been going on for the past week. And I was thinking about covering it earlier this week, but I was like, you know what? Let's see how everything plays out throughout the week, and then we'll have a live stream. Because why not? That makes more sense to do it that way. So I figured, okay, we're gonna have a live stream this morning to talk about the whole Blizzard China problem. What we're going to do is we're going to read different articles to see everything that's progressed throughout the week, and basically just give my thoughts on everything and discuss it amongst us, because why not? Now, one of the things that for me personally, like, I don't typically delve into politics. It's not my forte, it's not my area of expertise, and I don't like to discuss politics in general, because, like, the two rules I have when talking to people is you don't discuss politics and you don't talk about religion. That's just my rules, and that's my rules for anything. That's not like just for the internet. That's my rule for, like, live interaction with other people too. Like, you don't talk about those things, because that just causes differences in opinion, and people can take your opinion with something and kind of just, like, turn it around or become, like, just enraged at the discussion, or, like, whatever, they just rage out on you. So that's just my rule on things, and why I don't typically talk about things like that. But for today, we're talking about this, and it's not so much the political aspect of things. It's more about the way that the situation was handled, more than anything else. It's more than it's more about how the situation was handled, and how this actually affects things. How this affects things moving forward in the gaming world. So let's say hi to some people. Get, I already said hi to you. Iconic Ian, how you doing? Salga, Fox Music, how you doing today? If it's about Blizz, yeah. So yeah, we're talking about Blitzchung. We're talking about Blizzard. We're talking about not specifically what's going on in Hong Kong, because that's not what we're here for. What's my DLive? Gotians Games. It's the same thing. It's dlive.tv/Gotians Games. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the different articles. We're going to go starting from earlier this week and move on to some of the most recent articles. And then we're going to basically just talk about this, because it is a big deal. It is a big deal. Let me go ahead and change my screens here. All right, so here we go. And pretty much all these articles are the same. So I'm like, you know what? I had Kotaku up. We're just going to look at the Kotaku ones, because all the articles, no matter where you get the information from, they're pretty much covering all the same thing. All of it. Buddy, it's bottom of the screen. What do you mean it's bottom of the screen? What are you talking about, buddy? It's bottom of the screen. What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. All right. So, yes, I know I'm live. Like, you give me a notification like 5 minutes later. And my dogs are going crazy, and I don't know why. All right, so first article we have here, Hearthstone streamer responds in the aftermath of controversial Blitzchung ruling. So, if you don't know, it's now on the top. What are you talking about? Oh, I see what you're talking about. Oh, yeah. It's the border. Okay, anyways. If you don't know, if you've been living under a rock, Blitzchung, he said during a live interview during the Hearthstone championship tournament that to liberate Hong Kong. I mean, that to me, that's not anything bad. Like, you want to go ahead and say something like that, fine. I mean, listen, if we can have what's that dude's name? That freaking what, I forget his name. The dude who plays fighting games, right? And he's a freaking furry. If we can have him stand up on stage accepting an award and going ahead and getting like super political about stuff like that, if you can have that, then you can allow this too. That's the way I see it. You can't have one without the other. You have to allow it all, or you can't allow any of it. Okay, now I understand that the Game Awards is not run by Blizzard. I understand that, but it's still politics and gaming. So if you're going to allow one thing, you have to allow all of it. That's just how it is. At the end of the day, that's how it is. That's how I view it anyways. If you're going to ban one thing, you have to ban it all. That's how I see it. And yeah, at the end of the day, I don't think any of it should be banned. I don't think any of it is wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. Blitzchung did not do anything wrong, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people feel the same way about that. But again, we're focusing more on the whole reaction of everything. So Blizzard banned him from the tournament play aspect of things for 12 months, and they took away his prize, or his prize money. Since then, it's changed. They decided to give him back his prize money, and they also changed the 1-year ban to then 6 months. But we're gonna get into that in a little bit. That's one of the last articles that we're gonna read. So let's go ahead and read this one, because a lot of people have reacted in regards to this, myself included. I actually canceled my World of Warcraft subscription. Ironically, I had the same issue in my area, just a different way. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not so much the political aspect of things, but personally, I canceled my World of Warcraft subscription because I was like, you know what? I can't do it. I can't. Those guys who don't know, okay, some people know this, most of you don't, because a lot of you guys probably never heard me talk about this. But I am Chinese. I'm part Chinese. My grandmother is Chinese. Her father was Chinese, so my great grandfather is Chinese. But I'm not like from the country, so I have no political standings in regards to the country. Like, that doesn't mean anything to me because I don't live there. But my heritage is Chinese, and so, like, as a gamer, as a person who lives in America, as a person who is an American citizen, I feel like freedom of speech is very important just in general. And the fact that Blizzard decided that they wanted to censor Blitzchung, I mean, listen, that's not right. So I decided to cancel my World of Warcraft subscription. And I didn't think twice about it. Not at all. Like, I'm like, you know what? Screw Blizzard. I'm canceling it. So that brings us to our first discussion here, or our first article here. Hearthstone streamers respond in aftermath of controversial Blitzchung ruling. In the days since Blitzchung received a 1-year suspension from the Hearthstone esports scene following his support for the ongoing protests in Hong Kong. In the middle of a stream, the community has become a hotbed for politically charged discussion. The scene subreddit, where a large portion of community news is shared and broken, is filled to bursting with pro-Blitzchung and anti-Blizzard sentiments. One of the moderators, citing dissatisfaction with Blizzard's response in the Blitzchung incident, has stepped down from his role. Since then, the Blitzchung ruling has become the Hearthstone's community elephant in the room, with silence on the matter becoming increasingly difficult to maintain. Now, after a period of soul-searching, responses have begun to flood in from some of the most visible members in the scene, which is, again, really freaking cool. Like, and I say really cool in the fact that people are responding to this. Okay, and the fact that people are responding to this, it's a really, really big deal to have the community as a whole getting together. Not just like the white knighters out there and everything. It's the community as a whole that are getting into this and speaking out against Blizzard. Hell, even the employees of Blizzard are against this. Like, so if you haven't been keeping track of everything, Blizzard has some plaques in the front of their office and saying that they're about freedom of speech or whatever. Like, I'm paraphrasing. I don't know exactly. My nose is itchy. I don't know exactly what it says. I don't have that written down. But Blizzard, the employees of Blizzard, have taken it upon themselves to censor that plaque because Blizzard is not all about freedom of speech, apparently. My friend told me even the person who made WoW might have even deleted his account. While that is hearsay, I'd believe it. Well, gotta go to refund Overwatch. Be right back. Alright. Earlier this week, the streamer and Hearthstone esports shoutcaster Brian Kibler published his own thoughts on the matter in an extensive blog post. While he voiced understanding towards Blizzard's decision to act on the politicization of one of their broadcasts, he expressed concern that Chung's punishment, in this case a 1-year suspension and revocation of prize money, greatly outweighed the crime. And, okay, Blizzard has said, Blizzard has conflicting statements. Let's just be honest with you, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. Blizzard has conflicting statements. But Blizzard has said that they don't want politics and stuff like that to take away and detract from the game and their broadcast on their own broadcast. So I understand that. I understand that 100%. And that's fair. That's fair. That's very understanding. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what's wrong is taking away the prize money and suspending that said player for a year. That's way overboard. Way overboard. To end his blog post, Kibler announced that and on top of that, the 2 newscasters were also fired, which that's changed as well, but we'll get into that. To end his blog post, Kibler announced that he would not be casting the Grandmasters Finals at BlizzCon, an event that's scheduled to happen later this month. I will not be a smiling face on camera that tactically endorses this decision, Kibler said in a post. Unless something changes, I will have no involvement in Grandmasters moving forward. Kibler's decision is noteworthy because it's the first to come from the most visible quotient of the Hearthstone community, the streamers themselves. But Kibler's initiative, I can't speak this morning. I stayed up all night. I'm tired. Seems to have been the catalyst for a wave of streamer action. In the aftermath of his post, another top Hearthstone streamer, Octavian Morosan, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, published his own Twitlonger post weighing in on the Blitzchung story, which is particularly notable considering his past refusal to bring any political discussion into his streaming content whatsoever. And again, this is not anything to do with what's going on in Hong Kong in my regards. We're looking specifically at the way that Blizzard handled this and the way and then the aftermath that ensued moving forward. Misty, what are you doing? Come here, Misty. Come inside. Misty, come. Come here, Misty. My dog is just like standing there, like her head is out the door, like peeking through the door. Creeper. Sorry. What did he get banned for again? He got banned for stating his ideals in the Hong Kong issue, that saying to free Hong Kong. That's what he got banned for. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't see anything wrong with him stating that. Anyways, continuing on. I want to be clear that I support those protesting in Hong Kong, which such a large part of the country pushing for change. They are and deserve to be on the right side of history. I haven't been involved with competitive esports Hearthstone for years now, but Hearthstone for me is much more than their esports division and their recent poor decision making. I invite Blizzard to reconsider their position. Sure, they are in the entertainment space, so they want to keep anything that isn't about Hearthstone out of their official broadcast. But the penalty on Blitzchung and the casters seems just too over the top. As of all of us who have spent the best part of our lives on Battle.net expect better out of Blizzard. And that is 100% true. I played World of Warcraft for 5 years, 2004 to 2009, and I enjoyed every single minute of it. I played the original Warcraft series, Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. I played StarCraft. I haven't played StarCraft 2, but at this point, honestly, this is the first time that I've ever personally canceled a subscription because of a situation such as this. I've never done this before. I'm not one to be like, oh, I'm not going to play this game because they decided to inject their own political agenda into the game or whatever. I will play the game and enjoy the game for what it is. To me, I think it's, I mean, you can do whatever you want. You're allowed to. But I think boycotting games, usually for political reasons, I think is just stupid. I think you can still enjoy the game regardless of the political agendas that might be pushed in that said game. But in this regard, I think it's not so much that Blizzard is pro-China. It's not so much that, as it is more the way that they handled everything moving forward. They could have just waited till after the interview. They could have waited till after everything, pulled them aside and been like, hey, look, man, you probably shouldn't have said that. We don't like this. And then just issue a statement saying that Blizzard as a company is not represented by this said player or whatever. But you don't have to do or handle things the way that it was handled. I think that was just really, really bad. Just as a management marketing standpoint or whatever the case may be. Following that, the shoutcaster Nathan Zamora threw his hat into the ring, saying that he too would not be casting any more Hearthstone Grandmasters events for the rest of the season and through BlizzCon later this month. Blitzchung's actions to support Hong Kong speak to me far more than I could have imagined, he said in a tweet on Thursday. It takes courage to stand up for what you believe in and to make sacrifices in the process. His actions are inspiring to me and I support him wholeheartedly. This article is massive, like it really is, and it's mostly about different streamers who are here forever. And we got more articles to go through. So I'm gonna close this one out. Next one we're gonna read through is actually regarding Riot. Riot League of Legends. So let me go ahead and pull that up. Alright. Riot forbids League of Legends players and commentators from discussing politics on air. That's fair. I understand that. Makes sense. Can you stop? Alright. It makes sense. And I'll tell you why that makes sense. Give me a minute here because my nose is itchy. Just hold on. Alright, sorry about that. I had to blow my nose. Okay, so the reason why it makes sense why League of Legends or Riot is saying this is because Riot is owned by Tencent. And that is basically a Chinese company. They're owned 100% by them. It's not even like Blizzard there's a sharing, or Tencent owns shares in Blizzard. It's not even that. They own 100% Riot Games League of Legends. 100%. Does that mean I'm gonna stop playing League of Legends? No, because they haven't done anything like this, and or done anything like Blizzard. So as long as they don't do something like that, then I'll continue playing League of Legends. And again, it makes sense if they would do that, if they would do this, where they, forbid players and commentators from discussing politics and stuff like that, especially regarding Hong Kong and China, because they're owned by a Chinese company. Ever since Hearthstone Pro Blitzchung got suspended for a year by Blizzard after making a declaration of support for Hong Kong earlier this week, the issue of politics during esports streams has been a hot topic. The head of Fortnite Studios Epic Games, for example, said he supports players' rights to speak out about politics and human rights. Well, regarding that one, okay, regarding the head of Epic Games is partially owned by Tencent. I think 40% is owned by them, and until Epic Games faces this kind of situation themselves, it's kind of hard for them to say, oh yeah, we're not gonna handle this the same way. We support all human rights, and money doesn't mean anything to us, which is a load of crap, because all these companies, all they care about is money. That's all they care about at the end of the day, just money. So until Epic Games themselves is put into the situation, they can say all they want. That doesn't mean that it actually matters what they're saying. Now, however, Riot has taken the opposite approach. In a statement on Twitter, the League of Legends developer and publisher said that pro players and commentators have been told to keep their political thoughts to themselves during official broadcasts, which is fine. That's understandable. That's not a problem, okay? That is not a problem. That's not saying that they're going to ban them or anything like that. They're just saying keep it to yourselves. That type of commentation, I can't think if that's the proper word, but that type of discussion is not where it doesn't belong in a League of Legends match that you're commentating on. That's not. And then that, again, that's understandable, even if it wasn't owned by a Chinese company. We serve fans from many different countries and cultures, and we believe this opportunity comes with the responsibility to keep personal views on sensitive issues, political, religious, and otherwise separate. Which also goes back to what I said at the beginning of the stream. Okay? That goes back to what I said at the beginning, which was, if you're going to allow any political discussion in the gaming world, you have to allow all of it. If you're going to ban any of it, you have to ban all of it. Okay? The fact that we had, and I still can't freaking think of this dude's name. Why is my camera all weird? Hold on. I say it's weird. You guys probably don't notice it, but I notice it. Alright. This goes back to that pro fighting game player where he was like, when he accepted his award on during the Game Awards last year, he was saying a whole bunch of political stuff, and myself and a whole bunch of other people were like, dude, you don't really need, there's no need for you to talk about stuff like that when you're accepting an award. So I mean, again, I don't agree on censoring people, but the way that they're handling it, they're like, keep it to yourselves, it doesn't belong during a game of League of Legends type of deal. I get that. Okay, so let's see. These topics are often incredibly nuanced, require deep understanding and a willingness to listen, and cannot be fairly represented in the form our broadcast provides, which is true. And that's, you know what, the willingness to listen thing, that is the biggest thing right there, because willingness to listen is not something that people actually have. Let's be 100% real. People don't care about your thoughts, generally. They don't care about your opinions, generally speaking. And that's just what it comes down to. Willingness to listen. So if you can't listen to somebody's opinions on something and keep an opinionated mindset about it, then you can't have a good discussion on whatever that topic is. So because of that, they're saying keep that topic away from the League of Legends broadcast, because that's not where it belongs. Therefore, we have reminded our casters and pro players to refrain from discussing any of these topics on air, which is fair. He went on to say that Riot has fans in volatile places like Hong Kong, and as a result, we have a responsibility to do our best to ensure that statements or actions on our official platforms, intended or not, do not escalate potentially sensitive situations. Again, I understand. That makes perfect sense. As of 2015, Riot was fully owned by Chinese mega company Tencent, who also owns portions of many other video game companies, including Epic and Blizzard, and we're going to get to that in a minute. In this case, Riot clearly intends to remain neutral, but as Kotaku's writer wrote earlier this week, video games are not neutral, and the furor surrounding Blizzard's Hong Kong fiasco, which has led numerous players, commentators, and fans to protest, is proof of that. Which it is. There's many video games that push political agendas and things like that, and that's one of the things that that people like myself don't typically enjoy to see in our video games. But again, if it's not something that's thrown in your face, like that becomes the focal point of everything, then it doesn't really bother me. Like people getting upset, for example, over the whole Ellie situation, or the trailer that they put for Last of Us 2, you know, where it showed Ellie's relationship with another woman. People got upset over that, and I think that's really stupid, because it was already established that Ellie is a lesbian in the first game. So that, I don't understand why people got upset about that. Continuing on to the next article, though. Let's see, where are we? Okay, so continuing on to the next article. Blizzard finally comments on Hearthstone debacle, reduces suspensions, and returns prize money. All right, so here we go. Getting a little bit more caught up to date. This is from last night. After a week of controversy surrounding his decision to boot Hearthstone pro Blitzchung from a tournament and suspend him for a year for delivering a pro Hong Kong message during an official broadcast, Blizzard has finally made a statement about the situation, which we're going to read the statement. Okay. It plans to allow Blitzchung to collect his prize money after all and reduce his suspension. Okay, so they went ahead and put the statement here. So we're going to go ahead and read that statement from Blizzard's website themselves. Regarding last weekend's Hearthstone Grandmasters tournament. And I think this is one of the most important pieces to look at, because there's a lot of bullshit in here. There's a lot of bullshit. Hello, Blizzard community. I want to take a few minutes to talk to all of you about the Hearthstone's Grandmasters tournament this past weekend. On Monday, we made the decision to take action against a player named Blitzchung and two shoutcasters after the player shared his views on what's happening in Hong Kong on our official broadcast channel. At Blizzard, our vision is to bring the world together through epic entertainment. I just want to remind people, okay? I want to remind people really quick of the don't you all have cell phones? I just want to remind you of that. I also want to remind you of Activision. Just really quick. To bring the world together through epic entertainment. Just want to remind you of Activision. And we have core values that apply here. Think globally, lead responsibly, and importantly, every voice matters. Bullshit. Bullshit. Because if every voice mattered, you wouldn't do what you did. Encouraging everybody to share their point of view. Bullshit. I'm just gonna like sip some bullshit right here. Blizzard. The actions that we took over the weekend are causing people to question if we are still committed to these values. We absolutely are, and I will explain. Let me tell you something really quick. Let me just say this really fast, because I feel really strongly about this. If you have to explain your actions then they are bad. Then that was a bad choice or bad decision on your part. You shouldn't have to explain your actions. Knee-jerk tuning. Hey, what's up, Pilk? I was going to ask you to join in on this, but I figured you're busy with the family or stuff like that. And you were up late last night playing the Untitled Goose Game, which I thought was super funny that you were playing that, because that's like a you type of game to play. You know, since you're an asshole, it makes sense you're going to play a game where you're an asshole duck or goose or whatever. A goose, not a duck. Felipe, what's going on? Okay, where was I? Okay, so yeah, if you have to explain your decisions or your actions, then they weren't good to begin with. Like, it was not a good decision to do whatever it was you did. Okay, that goes for anything. If you have to explain things to somebody, maybe it wasn't a good idea to do it. I actually had to do BG on Epic before I bought that base on this whole debacle. You had to do BG. What do you mean BG? Happy Badger, how you doing? Ironically, there's a statue of an orc riding a wolf in their headquarters, and there is a word literally said, every voice matters. Yeah, no, I saw that. Omnitos, what's up? I was going to ask you and Pilk to join me today, but Omni, you were up late last night playing Destiny, and Pilk, you were up late playing as a jackass asshole goose. Background. You do a background on Epic? What do you mean background on Epic? What do you mean background on Epic? Alright, anyways. Our esports program are an expression of our vision and values. Esports exists to create opportunities for players from around the world, from different cultures, and from different backgrounds, to come together to compete and share their passion for gaming. It is extremely important to us to protect these channels and the purpose they serve, to bring the world together through epic entertainment, celebrate our players, and build diverse and inclusive communities. As long as you own a mobile phone, right? Diablo Immortal. As you know, we'll just say Activision again, because, you know, let's celebrate our players with greedy microtransactions that are really, really, really bad. Epic Entertainment, by providing you with unfinished games and then sell you the content that was supposed to have been in the game. So yeah. But, you know, Epic Entertainment and celebrate our players. As to how those values apply in this case. First, our official esports tournament broadcast was used as a platform for a winner of this event to share his views with the world. We interview competitors who are at the top of their craft to share how they feel. We want to experience that moment with them. Hearing their excitement is a powerful way to bring us together. Over the weekend, Blitzchung used his segment to make a statement about the situation in Hong Kong. In violation of rules he acknowledged and understood. And this is why we took action. Every voice matters. Bullshit. And we strongly encourage everyone in our community to share their viewpoints in the many places available to express themselves. However, the official broadcast needs to be about the tournament and to be a place where all are welcome. In support of that, we want to keep the official channels focused on the game, which is understandable. That is understandable, okay? I can get that. After all my support to Blizzard in the past, I'm pulling out entirely. I was curious if Epic had made a stand on this, and I like their message. For now, Pilk, because we're going to get into this in a little bit, but Epic is owned by Tencent. At least 40% of Epic is owned by Tencent, which is the Chinese market. That's a Chinese company. So for now, they said that, which we already addressed that, but they said what they said, but that doesn't mean that they would follow through on that if this type of situation happens to Epic. They're just trying to capitalize on the whole situation because Blizzard is a competitor. You die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain? Yeah. Right? Okay, so where were we at? Okay, so I understand that you want to keep the official broadcast to be about the tournament. That makes sense. Okay, that makes perfect sense that that's how you would want to handle that. But at the same time, the way that you handle things is equally as important. And the way that things were handled was not good at all. Second, what is the role of shoutcasters for these broadcasts? We hire shoutcasters to amplify the excitement of the game. They elevate the watchability and help the esports viewing experience stay focused on the tournament and our amazing players. Third, were our actions based on the content of the message? Part of thinking globally, leading... Excuse me, I had a burp there. Part of thinking globally, leading responsibly, and every voice matters is recognizing that we have players and fans in almost every country around the world. Our goal is to help players connect in areas of commonality, like their passion for our games, and create a sense of shared community. I'll tell you one thing though, okay? To help players connect in areas of commonality. Well, you know what, Blizzard? You did just that. You did just that. You got players, you got social media influencers. You got, hell, you got the general media. Okay, NBC, Fox, you got everybody connected and in an area of commonality against you. You did that, Blizzard, and that, you know what, mission accomplished. You help players connect in areas of commonality. Good job, Blizzard. The specific views expressed by Blitzchung were not a factor in the decision we made. Bullshit. I want to be clear, our relationships in China had no influence in our decision. Bullshit, because when you first announced this, it was clear that you had a relationship with China, and it was clear that it did influence this decision. 100%. We have these rules to keep the focus on the game and on the tournament to benefit to the benefit of a global audience, and that was the only consideration in the actions we took. If this had been the opposing viewpoint delivered in the same divisive and deliberate way, we would have felt and acted the same. Bullshit, because over in America, there were college students who did the same thing. They expressed their opinions regarding the whole Hong Kong situation. And they made sure to make Blizzard aware of what they did, and Blizzard didn't do anything about it. They didn't do anything about it because it was over in America. So that's complete BS. Okay, what could Blizzard have done better, and where do we go from here? Over the past few days, many players, casters, esports fans, and employees have expressed concerns about how we determine the penalties. We've had a chance to pause, to listen to our community, and to reflect on what we could have done better. In hindsight, our process wasn't adequate, and we reacted too quickly. Duh. Fair, but considering the backlash, I'm fairly certain that few will make such a public display. It's nigh impossible to get away from Tencent if you're going to play popular games. True, we're going to talk about that. We want to ensure that we maintain a safe and inclusive environment for all our players, and that our rules and processes are clear. All of this is in service of another important Blizzard value. Play nice, play fair. What does playing nice and playing fair have anything to do with the way that you reacted, Blizzard? You didn't play nice. You didn't play fair. In the tournament itself, Blitzchung played fair. Oh, played fair. I'm sorry. That needs to be in quotations. Played fair. We now believe he should receive his prizing. We understand that for some, this is not about the prize. No, it's not. And perhaps for others, it is disrespectful to even discuss it. That is not our intention. Yet you're discussing it. But playing fair also includes appropriate pre- and post-match conduct, especially when a player attempts recognition for winning in a broadcast. When we think about the suspension, 6 months for Blitzchung is more appropriate. After which time, he can compete in the Hearthstone Pro Circuit again if he so chooses. There's a consequence for the taking of, there's a consequence for taking the conversation away from the purpose of the event and disrupting or derailing the broadcast. What he said didn't disrupt or derail the broadcast at all. It didn't shift the conversation to what's going on in China. It didn't shift the conversation to civil rights. All he did was just say free Hong Kong, and that was it. That was it. That's all he did. He didn't make that the focal point. He didn't rant on for 2 minutes about it, like a certain fighter. Damn, I can't remember his name. It's like Fox something. The furry dude who went all political during the Game Awards last year. I can't remember his name. It's gonna bother me that I can't remember his name. Not at all. Anyways, with regards to the casters, remember their purpose is to keep the event focused on the tournament. That didn't happen here, and we are setting their suspension to 6 months as well. Let's be real, it's not really their fault that he decided he was gonna say, what he said. Sonic Fox, thank you, Omnitos, thank you. It was gonna bother me that I didn't remember his name. But yeah, it's not like Blitzchung went on for 2 minutes, like Sonic Fox went on for 2 minutes or so, talking about political stuff, even to say, F the president or whatever, or, screw the president, whatever he said. I don't remember. All he said was just free Hong Kong. There's nothing, come on. And then the casters. The casters bothers me a lot too because it's not their fault. Moving forward, we will continue to apply tournament rules to ensure our official broadcasts remain focused on the game and are not a platform for divisive social or political views. One of our goals at Blizzard is to make sure that every player everywhere in the world, regardless of political views, religious beliefs, race, gender, or any consideration, always feels safe and welcome, both competing in and playing our games. That's a load of bullshit. This whole thing is just BS. This whole thing. At Blizzard, we are always listening and finding ways to improve. It is part of our culture. Thank you for your patience with us and as we continue to learn. J. Allen Brack, how can I put this nicely? Go screw yourself, bro. Go screw yourself. Because you don't care about the players. You don't care about the situation as far as the player goes. You don't care about the casters. You don't care about any of us as the players. You don't care about any of us. You care about money. That's what you care about. We're going to be 100% real here. You're not always listening and finding ways to improve. You're always finding ways to improve your pocket. That's what you're doing. And because your stocks have tanked because of this, because people have been canceling their subscriptions, because people have been boycotting Blizzard, because your employees themselves are standing up and having walkouts and doing their own ways to react towards this, you're speaking up about it now, saying that, oh, we're sorry. We're trying to make things better. We're sorry. You know that whole South Park thing? Yeah, no. You screwed up. Okay? You as a company screwed up. And you're trying to fix your mistake, which it's a little too late. It's a little too late. You don't wait a week to fix it. That's just... Dude. It's not going to get swept under the table. This is going to continue going on. So, yeah. Let's go to the next article, shall we? Alright, so now we're getting into BlizzCon. Alright, protests are coming to BlizzCon in the wake of Blizzard's Hong Kong fiasco. We knew that was happening. because, again, people are understandably upset about the situation. Multiple groups are in the process of organizing protests set to take place outside BlizzCon, the annual convention held by game developer Blizzard in response to its suspension of a Hearthstone player for expressing support of Hong Kong during a live event. Today, digital rights nonprofit organization Fight for the Future launched a website and Discord to kick off its organizing efforts, and Protest BlizzCon subreddit is gaining serious steam as well. Take one look at the internet right now and it's pretty apparent that people aren't happy with Blizzard after it suspended Hearthstone pro Blitzchung and stripped him of his prize winnings at the Asia Pacific Grandmasters for wearing a mask and saying "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our age." Fans and industry pros alike have been vocal about their disapproval of the move, which they see as Blizzard backing down in the face of Chinese economic pressure. Today, Blizzard partially reversed its decision, returning Blitzchung's prize money and cutting his suspension down to 6 months. However, it still intends to forbid players from speaking about politics at its events. Skylar, your body deserves this. Not sponsored. I just thought that was funny as shit. Okay, anyways. BlizzCon is Blizzard's annual fan convention dedicated. Dude, you know what? That's like saying, Blizzard, take your lube because you're gonna need it for the ass beating that everybody's giving you. Sorry, that had to be said just because that just like popped up. BlizzCon is Blizzard's annual fan convention dedicated to beloved game series like Warcraft, Starcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, and Hearthstone. Last year, it was attended by over 40,000 people, with hundreds of thousands more tuning in to panels and esports events online. It's also a place where Blizzard developers go to both make announcements and interact with fans. It is in many ways a focal point of Blizzard's year, and it really is. But now it's it's gonna have a little bit of issues. Fight for the Future's protest will take place outside of Anaheim Convention Center at noon on November 1st, the first day of BlizzCon. The organization is asking protesters to bring umbrellas as a sign of solidarity with protesters in Hong Kong who've adopted umbrellas as a symbol, or to cosplay as their favorite Blizzard characters. That ad was put there on purpose. You know what? I bet it was. Bet you it was. The digital rights group decided to take up the protest banner because its central priority is to build an internet free of interference or censorship with the full privacy. According to its website, and Blizzard's actions this past week fly in the face of that goal. Plus, the organization has its fair share of game likers among its ranks, and they couldn't just sit back and do nothing. We have a lot of gamers at Fight for the Future, so it was on our radar. Product director Dayton Young told Kotaku over the phone, "We're passionate about digital rights, and we thought this was a very clear example of censorship that was very disturbing to all of us. So we wanted to promote it to our people in our community and let everyone know this was taking place. The heart of the matter is they still censored a man and punished him for speaking out and advocating for his own political freedom, and that's what they're continuing to do." One could say that this is very similar to the whole black rights movements that we had back in the 60s. It's freedom of speech, and it's being quieted down by not the media, but by bigger entities, companies, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's very... We've seen this happen many times in history. And the thing about history is you study history to learn from the past and not repeat the same mistakes. Like, come on. Fight for the Future's goal is twofold: to get developers and publishers to make a public commitment to supporting the rights of players, employees, and fans across the world, and to get Blizzard to fully reverse its decisions surrounding Blitzchung. While Young believes that Blizzard's statements and partial scaling back of Blitzchung's punishment on Friday evening is a promising testament to the power of overwhelming public pressure, he doesn't think Blizzard's move solves the core issue, and the protest is currently set to proceed as planned. Call it what it is. It's a humanitarian issue. It very much so is. Very much so is. Doesn't matter what country you're in. Doesn't matter what state. Doesn't matter what your ethnical background or what your own beliefs are. Whatever. It is a humanitarian issue. The heart of the matter is they still... Okay, so we read that. They're saying this because they don't want to upset people, but I think people are already upset by their decisions. If Blizzard's true goal is to ensure that every player always feels safe and welcome when competing in tournaments and playing Blizzard games, then Blizzard should let players, fans, and employees know that they can advocate for their own rights without fear of reprisal. Very, very true. This article is massive. But the thing to take away is that they're going to be protesting against BlizzCon, or Blizzard at BlizzCon, and as long as it's a peaceful protest, then things will be fine. Like, have BlizzCon outside, you know, like you're gonna protest and ask people to cosplay and stuff like that. That's awesome. Do that. Nothing wrong with that. My phone just vibrated. The hell. Okay, so do that. Do it peacefully. You know, nothing wrong with having peaceful protests. Basically, have BlizzCon outside. Don't give Blizzard the attention that they want because they don't deserve it. Have your own BlizzCon outside. Celebrate what you like about Blizzard or what made you as a fan become a fan of Blizzard. And don't celebrate it where they want you to do it. Don't give them your money for BlizzCon, and don't support them that way. Like, again, you're allowed to protest all you want. Do it peacefully. This article, again, it's a long article. It's a great article. I'll go ahead and I'll link this one for you guys to check out. Hopefully it doesn't it shouldn't like cut it short or whatever. All I can say is that I'm happy, so happy that Destiny moved to Steam before this. Yeah, I mean, you and a lot of people. All right, so the last thing we're going to take a look at is we're going to look at every company that Tencent is invested in. Again, Tencent is it's a company that's owned, you know, or it's a Chinese-owned company, and they own League of Legends 100%. They own a 40% stake in Epic Games. So we're going to take a look at every company that Tencent is invested in, or not every company, but most companies. This doesn't go through all of them, but it goes through the gaming companies that we as players, as fans, would care about. So that's we're going to read that right now. Tencent is the world's largest game publisher. It's both an internet and entertainment giant in China, the equivalent of Facebook or Google. But gamers worldwide are probably more familiar with Tencent's investments into a growing number of game developers and publishers. But with over 300 investments in its portfolio, staying on top of every company that Tencent has a stake in can be a little daunting. That's why I've created this reference listing each of Tencent's public investments in foreign gaming companies, basically companies outside of China, including, where possible, how much of that company Tencent owns. As part of our ongoing coverage of PC gaming in China, it's also important to understand the growing influence Chinese gaming companies like Tencent have on the global market. So this article is coming from PCGamer.com. So we're going to go ahead and look at this. Riot Games is 100% owned by Tencent. In 2011, Tencent went from being Riot Games publishing partner in China to its majority stakeholder after paying $400 million for a 93% stake in League of Legends developer. 4 years later, Tencent scooped up the remaining 7% equity for an undisclosed amount, taking full control over Riot Games, just as League of Legends was exploding as an esports around the world. That is crazy. $400 million is how much Riot Games sold League of Legends for. Now, if you log on to League of Legends, it's still going to show Riot Games, but it's insane. It's insane. It's 100% crazy. Tencent's purchase of Riot was nothing short of prescient. Did I pronounce that right? League of Legends is the most popular PC game in the world, pulling an estimated 1.4 billion in revenue last year. Riot Games remains largely free to steer the game how it pleases, but that relationship has some ugly downsides. Wanting to cash in on the mobile gaming boom, Tencent tried to get Riot to make a mobile version of League of Legends. When the developer refused, Tencent went ahead and made their own mobile clone of League of Legends called Arena of Valor that became one of the most profitable mobile games in Asia, and Riot wasn't very happy about it. That is now mostly water under the bridge now that Tencent has abandoned Arena of Valor in the West, and Riot is now making a mobile version of League of Legends. Squabbles aside, Tencent's purchase of Riot has cemented it as the king of esports. Epic Games, 40%. Tencent's $330 million investment into Epic Games back in June 2012 triggered one of the most dramatic shifts in PC gaming of the last decade, ushering in a new era of free-to-play games as a service, which sucks, by the way. Games as a service, free-to-play games as a service is what is wrong with games these days. Seeing that old model of selling games wasn't working, it's still working. What do you mean selling games wasn't? You know what? I'm not going to, that topic will trigger me. We're not going to talk about that right now. Epic founder Tim Sweeney decided to join forces with Tencent to better learn about operating live service games. It paid off. With Tencent's investment, Epic scrapped Unreal Engine 4's monthly subscription in favor of a free version where Epic earned royalties on sales. Though developers might pay more for a successful game in the long run, it opened Unreal Engine up to an enormous community of indie developers and helped fuel intense competition between rival engine Unity, which up until then was considered to be the best technology for small developers. At the same time, Epic began experimenting with live service games like Paragon and Fortnite Save the World. While both games were failures, Save the World put Epic in a perfect spot to jump on the Battle Royale bandwagon and almost by accident create the biggest gaming pop culture phenomenon since Minecraft and Pokemon. Last year, Fortnite made $2.4 billion. Holy freaking hell. Holy crap. Making it the most profitable game that year. $2.4 billion last year. That's almost Avengers Endgame money right there. Crap. For a second, like when I first saw this, I thought this said Butthole. I was like, what the hell company is Butthole? No, Bluehole, which is PUBG. 11.5%. Yes, Tencent, a piece of both Fortnite and PUBG, the two dominant battle royales. What's even more amusing is that Tencent also has rights to publish both games in China, meaning it's actually in competition with itself. Not a bad place to be in. And if you guys remember when they released PUBG in China, they censored it. Like the blood became green and weird stuff happened. Tencent's involvement into Bluehole. I keep wanting to say Butthole. First began in 2017 with Tencent's first acquiring 1.5% of Bluehole before increasing that investment to an undisclosed amount, rumored to be around 10%. That's probably just the beginning though, as Tencent is rumored to be seeking a complete acquisition of Bluehole. Holy crap, that would just not be good. Because then you would have 100% Tencent, which is PUBG, then at that point, and as well as 40% Fortnite. That's crazy. Ubisoft, 5%. Tencent was one of the several investors that helped Ubisoft survive a hostile takeover last year from Vivendi, who at the time was Ubisoft's largest stakeholder. For years, Vivendi had been steadily acquiring more stake in Ubisoft in hopes of ousting founder Yves Guillemot, I probably butchered that like crazy, and seizing control for itself, putting thousands of jobs in jeopardy in the process. The situation looked grim until Ubisoft struck a deal with Vivendi that saw the French conglomerate divest its stake to a variety of investors that included Tencent. As part of the agreement, though, Tencent is just a silent partner who cannot increase voting rights or ownership stake in Ubisoft, making a hostile takeover by Tencent impossible, that's good. By acquisition of Ubisoft shares as heralded in a strategic partnership where Tencent would publish Ubisoft games in China, which caused its own flurry of backlash over censorship. Activision Blizzard, 5%. So, you mean to tell me this whole thing, this whole situation is over 5%? Because they own 5% of Blizzard. Okay. Years before Ubisoft, Tencent helped another company escape Vivendi, Activision Blizzard. Activision fell under Vivendi's control way back in 2007 when it merged with subsidiary Vivendi Games in order to join forces with Blizzard and benefit from the enormous success of World of Warcraft. 5 years later, the merged companies of Activision Blizzard announced a deal to buy back Vivendi's stake in the company and become independent. And Tencent jumped at the opportunity to buy 5% of the company for an undisclosed amount. They own 5% of Blizzard. So Blizzard is afraid of upsetting a company that owns 5% of Blizzard. Now, granted, they probably have the publishing rights and stuff like that, or help with the publishing of said Blizzard games in China. So then they would be missing out on a lot of revenue from China if they piss them off. But that just shows you that money speaks volumes to these people. It's insane. Grinding Gear Games, Path of Exile, 80%. In 2018, Tencent snatched up a majority stake in the New Zealand developer of Path of Exile, Grinding Gear Games. The purchase alarmed Path of Exile players who feared the Chinese publisher would start implementing more aggressive microtransactions or changes to Path of Exile's delicate in-game economy. But like many of Tencent's acquisitions, Grinding Gear Games has supposedly kept its independence over Path of Exile's operations. In the years since, little has changed about Path of Exile's economy or microtransactions despite the game's continued growth. The question is, what is a controlling stake in Blizzard? 5%. What like you're asking what's Tencent's controlling stake? It's 5%. That's, they bought 5% of the company. So that's their stake. Other investments worth noting: Supercell, 84.3%. Tencent's $8.6 billion investment in this Finnish. Finland. I was like, they spelled Finnish wrong. God, can you tell I stayed up all night? And this Finnish mobile developer is one of the biggest purchases in video game history. But considering 60% of Tencent's $19.3 billion in gaming revenue last year came from mobile games, and Supercell's enduring hits like Clash of Clans, the acquisition makes a lot of sense. Like Riot Games, Supercell reportedly retains most of its independence and is still located in Finland. Tencent made $19.3 billion in gaming revenue last year from mobile games. Holy crap, I didn't even know about that at all. That's scary. That's a lot of money. They were trying to save 5% shareholder to only get, 35% loss in shares? No, you're talking about Blizzard? No. So Blizzard was facing a corporate takeover from Vivendi, and Tencent helped to stop that by buying out Vivendi's stake in the company. They were able to prevent that from happening. Let's see. Frontier Developments, 9%. Tencent invested 17.7 million, is that pounds, into the developer of Elite Dangerous and Planet Zoo in 2017 as part of a strategic partnership to capitalize on increased interest in space and theme park games in China. Okay, I don't know. Didn't know anything about that. I don't like a lot of these companies I don't know, but Paradox Interactive I do know. 5%. When Swedish grand strategy publisher Paradox first went public in 2016, Tencent swooped in to buy 5% for $21 million. 5% for $21 million. Dude, Tencent just like throws money at everybody. Shit. Part of the sale was motivated because Stephen Ma, the head of publishing at Tencent Games, is a big fan of Hearts of Iron 2. More to the point, since the company is publicly traded, how much of the company is owned by the public? 5% might be enough to get a powerful vote. True, we don't know, or I haven't looked into it. I was just pulling up this article to see like where Tencent has its hands, or like whose pockets Tencent has its hands in. Another one to take a look at here, which shocked me when I saw this. It really did. But Discord. Tencent has their hands in Discord. Discord has received $158 million in funding last year, including an undisclosed amount from Tencent among many investors. Wow. Okay. I mean, that's a big deal because we all use Discord, right? So like everybody uses Discord these days. Discord is like if you have any enjoyment in anything gaming wise or whatever, like you're using Discord. So Tencent has their hands in Discord as well. That's absolutely crazy. So my thoughts on this whole situation, on everything here. Okay. Blizzard handled everything very, very poorly. They're trying to clean up their mess. They're trying to sweep it under the rug. It's not going to happen. Okay, it's not going to happen. They screwed up. They took a week to address it. A week. And in that week, it's blown up beyond anything Blizzard could possibly imagine. There's absolutely nothing that Blizzard can do at this point to fix this situation. Even if they were to rescind the ban that they put on the player for 6 months, as well as the casters, it still would not fix the situation. Would it make it better? Yes, of course it would make it better, but it wouldn't fix it. Blizzard is being dragged through the mud by social media, by the news outlets, by video game content creators. Like, they screwed up. It's done. It's done. Especially in today's day and age where we live in cancel culture, which is cancer. It's cancerous. Cancel culture is cancerous anyways. It's got to do more with revenue from the Chinese games. CNBC issue with Rockets, also Tencent is probably the central government of China. We're not getting into that, Juancho. That's not what this is about. That's not what this is about. The reason that we're doing this, or the reason that we're having this podcast, is to discuss the whole situation regarding Blizzard. Not Tencent. I don't care if Tencent's owned by the Chinese government. I don't care if, about the political issues, whatever. Simply because that's not what this channel is about. This channel is about video games. This about everything that affects video games in the video game world. News on video games, reviews, live streams, playthroughs, and so on and so forth. Just commenting on the 5% ownership, and that's fine. That's fine. No, I get it. But the whole thing with Blizzard, in my eyes, okay, yes, they would be missing out a ton of money because of the whole China situation. If Tencent decides to pull out of Blizzard would be affected tremendously by the lack of income that would then transpire. To be fair, Tencent made their money in other media markets and is simply gobbling up enough other media formats to cover their future growth. It's a wise business decision. It is. Again, that's not the topic of the discussion today, though. Like that's like saying, like if we talked about Sony, right? If we're gonna talk about Sony, we're gonna talk about Sony in regards to Sony Entertainment for video games. We're not gonna talk about Sony as a company. Regarding their phones or their other products or their movie division. Like, we're not going to talk about stuff like that. Like, we're going to talk about the video game side of things and how things should have played out and stuff like that. Just got to be real. But the fact that they're basically owned by China's government, so it's like they have the noose around their neck. Not to make it political, but it is. I understand that. I understand that completely. But again, like, this isn't a political channel. You know that. Like, when we all get together and we do these gamer casts and stuff like that, it's not the... We don't look at the political side of things. We look more towards what's good for the gamers, what's not good for the gamers, what the companies are doing that are detrimental to the gaming industry and things like that. And this certainly is. This falls under that category. Yes, this also falls under the category of a political discussion, but I think that kind of discussion is saved more for like a political channel, which this is not. So that's why we're not having this. Because if I was gonna delve into the political issues of it, I would honestly just go and research the political side of things with Tencent and the Chinese government and Blizzard as an American company and stuff like that. Which is good that Death Stranding is on every platform now. No, it's not. Liar. I was gonna look it up, but no, you're lying. Like, I don't know where you're getting that information from, but yeah, I don't know where you're... No, it is? When was that? If you were to go to Amazon and you were to look up Death Stranding on Amazon, right? It would show Xbox. It just shows PlayStation. And I'm going to tell you why really quick, although this is not the topic of discussion, but just to tell you really quick, the reason why it's not on it, or the reason why it's only on PS4 is because Sony owns a stake in Hideo Kojima's company. The reason why Hideo Kojima was able to open up his own company was because of Sony. They gave him the money to do that, just that, to open up his own company. So that's why it's PS4 exclusive. Anyways, politics shouldn't be part of gaming, agreed, but at the same time, Blizzard was the one that brought it in. But that being said, it's more a question of proportionality. To get away from politics, if you're going to fault them for owning pieces of other game companies, it's not like they're trying to monopolize the industry. They're simply hedging their assets. Oh no, I wasn't faulting them. Don't take what I said as a thing of like, oh my god, you know, they're trying to control everything. No, that's not what they're doing. They're cementing their future, which is, from a business standpoint, a very good thing, a very smart thing. And as you saw over here, just because they own portions of the companies, they leave the companies to do what they're gonna, to do whatever they're gonna do. I have the hiccups. Hold on. So they like they said, for example, like Grinding Gears Path of Exile, the Tencent, even though they own the majority of the company, they leave the company to do whatever they're gonna do, and they just get the revenue for it. They're not into developing games. Like, they're more into oh, we want to just make money. So here's money. We're going to invest in your company and we just get the kickback for it. Which again is a very smart way to do business. So like Riot Games, they left Riot Games to do whatever, what they want to do, and that's it. To an extent, Epic Games, they leave Epic Games to do whatever they're gonna do, and so on and so forth. Like that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But the subject matter is like how this should have been handled. Like, just you should have, like, you as a company, Blizzard, should have just spoken to the said player, reprimanded that said player, and then issue a statement afterwards saying that you reprimanded the player, that you, Blizzard, as a company, while you respect the said player's views and political standpoints and stuff like that, that said player does not represent you, Blizzard, as a company, which would still put you in a bad light, because then it's like, oh well, you're pro-communism, and you don't want Hong Kong to be free, but it's not as bad as what you did instead, which was take the money away, ban the player for a year, fire the casters. I know that now you've given the money back and you've changed your year ban to 6 months, but it's still like the damage is done. And you as a company, Blizzard, should have been a little bit smarter about this. So anyways, that's all the news going forward. Looking into the business side of Blizzard, 5% is nothing. This is 100% knee-jerk reaction from Blizzard alone. I don't think you can blame their ownership. No, I'm not blaming their ownership. But, again, we don't know how much revenue that 5% brings in for Blizzard. So, even though 5% ownership in a company is very minuscule, that 5% could mean hundreds of millions of dollars a year coming into Blizzard from China. That if that 5% were to pull out and sever ties, then those hundreds of millions of dollars would no longer go to to Blizzard. That's where that 5% can come into play that we don't know about from a business standpoint. And so if Blizzard pisses off that 5%, again, while that 5% is minuscule, it could have a much larger effect on Blizzard as a company in their revenue. And at the end of the day, they're a company, they want to make money. So this should have been handled better. And hindsight is 2020. But that's what it is. We went through a lot of articles today, and this is why I didn't want to cover this throughout the week, just because there's so many things to cover, and I've got way too much to do, or way too much on my plate this month, that for a big news for a big newsworthy thing such as this to blow up, it's man, I wish I didn't have so much to do that I could cover this, but it is what it is. They can lose access to the Chinese market. Exactly, and that's what I was saying. If that 5% pulls out, they lose access to the Chinese market. They lose millions upon millions, or hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe even billions of dollars of revenue that keeps the company afloat. Because we know that Activision's under a lot of scrutiny over here in the States because of their microtransactions and issues like that. So that's what it is. And again, Pilk, I would love to have you and Omni on this discussion. Maybe we can get together and talk a little bit more about this on another podcast, because I think that would be great. That would be a lot of fun, and we could get a little bit more into the business aspect of things. More to the point, they did overreact. This wasn't based on shareholder pressure, or if it was, it wasn't well thought out. I think it was like you said, an overreaction. They were way too quick to react to this. I don't think that Tencent as a company, I don't think they really said anything to Blizzard. to be honest with you. I think that if they did, it was probably after the fact, because now this type of situation hurts Tencent as a company as well. Probably not to the degree as Blizzard, because they only own 5%, and they're probably like, you know what, Blizzard, if you go down and burn, we don't care, we'll leave and that's it. But I think that at the end of the day, they thought about the money. They didn't think about the backlash that they would receive in doing this, and so that caused everything that snowballed afterwards. So I'm gonna leave that with you guys, and if you guys are watching this like on demand after the podcast and everything like that, leave your comments down below. We want to hear your discussions or your thoughts on everything going forward. This is an ongoing issue. Like, it's not gonna go away. This is gonna continue hitting the media. It's gonna continue hitting the different news outlets. And I'll try to keep up with it moving forward. I mean, I'm very busy this week as far as like gaming stuff goes, because in 3 days I have one big game and one semi big game that I'm gonna be covering, and that's on the 15th. So like a lot of stuff on my end, and then we have Outer Worlds and like a whole bunch of other things coming out. So I thank you guys for hanging out today. Pilk, thank you so much for stopping by and giving your thoughts on this. Again, we can have a more thorough discussion like on another podcast or something as more information comes through and more things develop. I think it would be a very, very good a very good discussion to have, because it's very interesting. Because I mean, both you and I are older, you know, like, and that's one of the other reasons why I want to have Mike on here too, because the three of us, like in our circle, we're the oldest. Like, let's not beat around the bush. We're the oldest out of our circle of friends and whatnot, and so we've been through business and all that other stuff, and I think that the three of us can have like a very, very good in-depth discussion regarding the whole business side of things and how this affects things moving forward for video games, because I think that this backlash of this outcry that everybody's having against Blizzard, I think is going to cause ripple effects in the gaming industry moving forward. So anyways, I will catch you all later. If you are busy, I will send videos about the problem to help you out. Huh? What you talking about? Shut up, Pilk. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out today. I really do appreciate it. I'll be back to live stream later on tonight. I'm gonna try to get some rest, because I didn't sleep last night. I haven't been sleeping well. I've been like really pushing myself lately, playing different games and stuff. I freaking finished Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel in like or Trails of Cold Steel 2 in like 4 days. There was like I finished it in like 40 hours, so it was like 4 days. On top of like live streaming and playing other things. So yeah, I need to like November, I'm gonna be like resting a little bit more. But I guess to see how midnight. Why midnight? That's random. Anyways, I'll catch you all later. You guys have a great rest of your day. If I don't, thank you so much for hanging out today. Really means a lot. I appreciate it. You guys have a great rest of your day. Good game, guys. Bad game, Blizzard. You know what? Blizzard gets the hashtag bad game now. Peace out, guys.